Hi, we're back at the A432 overbridge, and last time we were here it was just before the closure of the motorway. We'd like to get Sean and Terry to give us a bit of an update on what's been happening. So Sean, can you give us that news?
Yes, Maggie, I can. So people will remember that we had a full motorway closure in October last year, where we essentially culverted under the motorway to create the conditions where all the utilities and services that are in the bridge could be taken under the motorway. That closure, in the context of a difficult situation, went as well as it could, and we thank people for dealing with the disruption. That can't be minimised. There was certainly a reasonable level of disruption, but we did manage to get lots of people to not come, so that's reasonable good news. Yeah. In terms of progression, the utility work is moving along. Some of the utilities are actually already under the motorway, and we expect to have that element of work completed by mid-February, which takes us to the next key milestone, which is of course the demolition of the bridge, and we're looking to do that provisionally at this stage on the weekend of the 21st to the 24th of March, where we'll have another weekend closure. So that's good news in terms of our programme, but of course that then means that there will be no bridge of any kind in this locality. But
you are on time with the project plan?
Yeah, things are moving as we hoped they would be, and we still intend to have the bridge open to traffic in about March 2026.
Terry, you're responsible for the design and the construction of the new bridge. Where are we now?
Yeah, okay, Ian, so we're now moving into the demolition phase. So as Sean said, March the 21st we're going to be demolishing the bridge. The bridge itself will actually close to pedestrians and cyclists about 2 weeks before the actual demolition date, so we can remove some asbestos piping from the bridge. Basically, the weekend we're going to close it for 60 hours. We're going to site all of the 90-ton crushing machines and things like that on the carriageway, nibble away at the bridge, remove the edges, work into the bridge, and then the bridge will be allowed to collapse onto a protected mat that's going to be put on the motorway. It'll then all be broken up, taken into the yard and crushed even further and recycled as aggregate. All the steel will go off for recycling. So yeah, nothing's going to be wasted. It's all going to be recycled, reused. Apart from the asbestos.
Yeah. So one of the criticisms we've had from the start, and we've heard from the start, is that if we were in another country, you would have demolished it over a weekend. But what you're saying is that's actually going to happen, and it was the lead-up work that takes the time.
So it's all the service diversions. You know, we've had water, gas, electricity, fibre optic cables, everything. Even the fibre optic cables for the communications on the motorway have been removed and rerouted. So all of that work's coming to conclusion now. So then we can move into the demolition and construction phase.
So if you hadn't have done that work before demolishing the bridge, it would have left everyone north of the bridge towards Yate without gas, without internet, without water. It would have been a disaster for them, which is why it's taken the time to be prepared for this.
These are all very important services for everyone that lives north of the bridge.
So Sean, we've just been hearing about the demolition of the bridge, but I mean at the moment it's open to pedestrians and cyclists, so it's going to be disappearing. How long is that for? What's happening there?
Yeah, I think we've got to tackle this one head on, Maggie, and we've been very consistent in this, but when the bridge disappears, it's going to focus minds again. We aren't going to have any kind of crossing at this location for the best part of a year. So we've looked at the people who are using the bridge. There's certainly a strong commuter element, predominantly on bicycles. We've spent some time speaking to these people, and although not ideal, the general feedback is that the alternatives are at least manageable, but as I said, not ideal. After the commuter period, there seems to be an awful lot of leisure use, and again, that would be disruptive to people's leisure, but at least they can do that elsewhere. And the issue of a temporary bridge always comes forward. I mean, we're past that point now, really, in terms of the work we've done, but the rationale behind not doing that was one of programme delay. A lot of the energy and activities that we would have to do for a temporary bridge would have to be done for the permanent bridge. So the resource that we have available is better put into the permanent solution. We'd have to acquire land, and bridges don't sit on the shelf. That temporary bridge would have to be designed, implemented, and there would be more motorway closures associated with that. So we're past that point, I'm afraid, Maggie.
Yeah. So, well, it's good to know that you've been talking to the users, the current users, and at least they're aware of what's happening. And by the sound of it, a temporary bridge would have been really costly and time consuming, and would have just prolonged everything and
Absolutely.
in the end made it worse.
And we'd like to thank people for their patience. We understand it's disruptive, and the conversations we had this week were very interesting, so thank them for that.
Yeah. Well, thanks to you both, Terry and Sean, for giving us the update. Everybody's interested in this, and we look forward to hearing more in the future. We'll no doubt be back to talk to you.